Today's conversation is with Rebecca Tracey, a marketing coach who works with health and life coaches. In this conversation, we scale all the way back to the brass tacks of marketing yourself. The basics still work, so stop trying to go viral on TikTok and instead spend time getting extremely clear on exactly what kind of expert you are and exactly what kind of problem you solve, for whom and how. The tools have changed, but the foundational elements of marketing are still true. You must put a clear message in front of your audience. I hope you take a lot away from our frank and filterless conversation with Rebecca Tracey. Hi, I'm Erin Power.
And I'm Laura Rupsis.
We're certified health coaches, and this is Health Coach Radio.
This podcast is about the art, science, and business of health coaching.
We share our insider tips to help you become a better coach and entrepreneur.
And we interview expert guests to discover how they've made it in this growing field.
It's time for health coaches to make an impact.
It's time for Health Coach Radio.
All right. Hello, Rebecca. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, we're super excited. We were talking before we started recording how daunting getting a business started is and how, I don't know, I guess overwhelming social media can feel. And you've got some pretty strong opinions there. So
I have some thoughts about it. Yes.
Yeah. So give our audience a little background story, a little bit of your origin story, sort of who you are and how you got here.
Yeah. So I started my sort of journey into this whole online business world as a health coach. So I went to IHN, which is the Institute of Holistic Nutrition in Toronto, back in 2008. I think I finished that. And so I was like, I was dabbling in the health coaching world. I was, trying to start a business in the health coaching world. I was also working part-time for an online like health and wellness website. So I was kind of like thrown into this like minimum wage job, but doing their marketing. I was like running ads on Facebook and figuring out community, like just doing all of this marketing stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. They were teaching me. And then at the same time, I had also been in life coaching school with CTI, God, blanking on their name, CTI, the Coaches Training Institute. So I kind of like had these three things going, and I was really kind of trying to smush together the coaching, the life coaching and the health coaching. But at the time I was like practicing just my pure life coaching skills with practice clients, as you do when you're in the program. And I found that all of the people that I was coaching were either other health coaches or other life coaches, because that was just my world at the time. You're like meeting friends, meeting colleagues, and I needed people to coach. And so what I ended up coaching them on, I found everyone that I was talking to was in either the life coaching program or the health coaching program that I was in. And they were all trying to figure out what they wanted to do when they graduated from this. So I was doing a lot of life coaching around them starting their businesses, like really trying to get clear on what they really want to do and what their values are and what they want the business to look like. And then I had this like marketing thing I was doing on the side. So I'd be like, hey, I can teach you some things that I'm learning from over here. And so I kind of started to bring that in. And so that's the roundabout way that I got to be now a business and marketing coach who primarily works with health coaches and life coaches. I realized after a couple of years of kind of, dabbling and trying different things that I didn't love being a health coach. I loved what I learned in school, but for me personally, I was like, I cannot keep up to date with all the new things that are happening. Like there's too many different perspectives. I personally was like, I can't choose what I believe. So I stopped the health coaching and I was focusing more on the life coaching. And what I realized through doing all of it was just, I really like teaching. And I really loved the marketing piece and the teaching and the like getting people's businesses started. But I love health coaches and life coaches and what they do. So that's how I came to helping those niches over that was 12 years ago. So it's been a journey.
Wow. That's a long time spent in that. So you've been a marketing business coach for health and life coaches for 12 years.
For 12 years. Yeah. Yeah. So I started this iteration of what I do now, which is the Uncaged Life, in 2011. And that was just the business. I had kind of weeded out all the other things I was trying to smush together. Because at one point I was trying to smush them all together. I remember trying to make a website, putting business help, life coaching help, and then like recipes. And I was like, this makes no sense. No wonder no one's paying me. So I got clear, whittled some things out. And then I've been doing this since 2011.
Wow, that's a long time. And it's changed a lot, I bet. I mean, in 2011, health coaching was a baby industry. Life coaching, I think, was a little bit ahead of health coaching maybe then.
Yeah, it's definitely all blown up. Yeah.
It has. And but even technology and marketing platforms, a lot of this has evolved. I don't know, what do you think is present now? Like where are we right now in terms of this stuff?
Well, so my approach and what I teach, because I've seen so many trends come and go of different platforms and social media and just ideas on like how you should be marketing. And I feel like I'm lucky in one sense because what I teach specifically is really before all of that. So it's like the foundations of marketing. It's niching in, it's understanding how to message around things, it's understanding how to, research your audience. And so that hasn't changed. So I'm really lucky because I'm not like having to, update my course every year because there's new technology. But I still think that throughout, whatever social media platform is popular right now or what trends are happening, I still think that foundational stuff is the only thing that matters. And I know we're going to talk a little bit today about different social media and whether or not we should be using it. But from what I see, it's like the strategy doesn't really matter. You need a way to get in front of your audience. These are all just different ways to do it. All these things that we see, whether you're going to launch through a funnel or whether you're going to do ads or you're going to do JV stuff, like it's all just about getting your message in front of your audience. And so as long as you have that foundational stuff, you can kind of choose the avenues that work best for you. And you don't have to jump on every trendy bandwagon to make it work. Because at the core, that's just all that those things are really giving you, right? Is a way to get visible and share your message.
I act as admissions director for our school. And so a lot of times I have people that I've talked to 3 or 4 times before they ever even enrolled here, right? So they've developed a good rapport with me and they trust me. And so they'll reach out to me midway through the course and oftentimes afterwards. And there was a student, a graduate who reached out and was, I had to give her a little bit of a pep talk, a few months ago, and she finally got her butt in gear and she got things out there. She finally got her website up and started announcing things on, I forget whether she's using Instagram or Facebook, but it's been like since like June. In just a few months. But again, frustrated that nobody seems to be biting.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just give platitudes on having patience, but you do kind of have to have patience.
Yeah.
And again, kind of coming back to this, why maybe newbies shouldn't be relying strictly on social media. And so I did sort of refer her to old school ways of doing business that we used before social media ever existed in terms of what you said, just get in front of where your audience is, get in front of them another way, in a way that feels authentic to you. I mean, this is something, how about it, Erin, that it comes up literally every month. It comes up in our Facebook page. It comes up in Cries for Help on email. It comes up in some of our webinars that we do about how hard this is, because there's more than one platform. First of all, many of them function differently. They have different priorities on what they're going to feed your audience based on what they want them to see. Algorithms change all the time, like that, right?
I know. I hear it too all the time.
Oh my gosh. Versus just having a really great, powerful signature talk that you can deliver in your sleep and with passion to the right audience, as just one example of like more of an old school approach. So I don't know. I'd love your thoughts there. So first of all, let's dial back. Let's say you had gotten this email from this person. Hey, my website's been up for 3 or 4 months now. I haven't gotten one bite. I'm really getting frustrated. What do I do?
Yeah. So what the very first thing I would do would be to go and look at their website and look at what they've been posting on social media. Because again, for me, my brain is like, is it clear what you're actually putting out there? Because the number of people I see that come to me that are like, I've been posting on social 6 times a day. I'm doing all the things, everything. And I look at it and I'm like, your social feed is beautiful. I have no idea what you do. Right. It's like some nice quotes and pictures of sunsets and, just things that are sort of very generic. And I work with a lot of life coaches. So I get a lot of sort of generic life coachy type, like live your dreams, find abundance, like these things where I'm like, I don't know what you do. I wouldn't know who to send to you. So I always look at the website and the social media together. And I'm like, if I didn't know anything about you, would I have a client that I could send to you? Like, is this specific enough that I know who this is for? And usually the answer is no. And so it's like there's a lot of energy put into creating, God, the amount of time it takes to create like an Instagram reel or like a beautiful photo in Canva with I can't do it. But the amount of time that is going into it, I'm like, if you're like calculating your hourly rate for the amount of work you're putting into making this content with a message and a niche and like, that's not even focused,
Right.
it doesn't line up. So that's the first thing I do. If their niche is clear, which sometimes it is, sometimes I'm like, right, okay, I know exactly what you do and who you do it for. And like, this is there. Then usually it's just like, great, forget social media. Cause you're putting it out into the ether and trusting the algorithms and the hashtags and all the things that change all the time versus going and finding an audience, borrowing audiences. I'm sure you guys talk about this too, this idea that there's huge groups of people that already exist in other people's businesses that you can like tap into, like what we're doing right now on this podcast, right? A signature talk, like you'd suggested, that you can just go and deliver to another audience, but just finding really targeted audiences, old school, is going to work so much better than relying on the algorithms and hoping that, this content that just gets lost in a blip too. Like, it just, once it kind of has its moment to shine, it just gets buried. Whereas other content can like actually keep building if you post it in the right places.
Yeah, people do spend a lot of time freaking out about the algorithm. And it's sort of like, it's really putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable, basically.
Yeah, it's giving a lot of power to something that, number one, you don't even understand because it changes all the time and that you can't control. I will say in 12 years, I don't think I've ever freaked out about the algorithm. It's just not ever been a piece of my strategy.
I know. I feel like we run into this. I run into it occasionally. I don't think it's a front burner concern for a lot of people, but it's people who've been plugging away trying to get their social feed to grow. They have to grow it. And it's like, oh, the algorithm, what should I post so the algorithm, favors my content? And it's like, we're crossing our fingers for a viral post as though we think that's going to kick off our business. Who are you? What problem do you solve for whom? So that when a person accidentally stumbles across your content, which is more likely to happen, forget about it. You're not going viral. So just forget about it.
Yeah.
Somebody does find your content. They find your social feed or your website. To your point, they know immediately this is the person who has the solution for my problem.
Yeah.
And so this clarity of message is what people should be doubling down on, rather than trying to be clever and trying to trump the algorithm.
Yeah. And I will say, so I always love this example. So I have a mindset coach that works with me alongside in my program. So I kind of teach the marketing and she like catches all the mindset drama that's going on. Her name's Erin Foley. She has a whole separate coaching business on her own where she coaches professionals who are in a new job or a new role who are having a confidence crisis. So she does not coach in like the business niche on her own. She does barely any marketing. But about 4 or 5 years ago, she created a couple of YouTube videos. These are like, her on Zoom like this, no more produced than this. Sharing, I think this specific video is about 6 minutes long. And she's talking about why the title of the video is why you're so overwhelmed in your new job. And in it, she's sharing why most people think they're overwhelmed. They think it's their boss, they think it's whatever, and how it's actually this thing going on in your mind. And so she shares her perspective about why they're really struggling and what they actually need to make a change and, beat the overwhelm and beat all this imposter syndrome going on in their new job. It's a 6-minute video. It was not designed to go viral, but it's so niched in and it's speaking to like exactly the thing that her clients are Googling. And this video now has, I think, over 100,000 views. It's got over 600 comments of people being like, holy F, this woman's reading my mind. Like, how did you know? This sounds exactly like me. Oh my gosh, I've never like heard this, never thought of it this way. And that video sits there on YouTube, has not been touched, and still brings about 80% of her consultation calls in. And so that to me, I'm like, that's a good use of your time and your content, right?
Well, you actually evoke this idea of what people are Googling, which is, I think, a really interesting way of just simply thinking about this stuff. Like, for example, I see a lot of stuff in my feed because, my filter bubble is what it is. I'm following a lot of health people, but it's like, here's all the chemicals that lurk in your household and beauty products. Well, I would never Google that. I'm frankly like, I'm not like, what should I be afraid of in my laundry room? Like, I'm not, but if I had symptoms that were pertinent to fragrance additives, I'm like, why are my joints swollen and sore? And if there's some, I don't know, there's some link back to that. Yeah. This is the idea of speaking to the person who is currently struggling with an issue rather than talking about health topics.
Yeah.
I think a lot of health coaches get into that trap of like, I'm going to talk like a smart person who knows a lot about health topic. It's almost like we're speaking to each other, like they're posting for their peers rather than posting for the person who's actually seeking a solution.
Yeah. And I wonder if that just comes because like when I was in the health coaching world, it was like health blogs and like people making money through affiliate marketing by selling products on the blogs. And so it was this like wide ranging health blogs about everything under the sun, like so that they could kind of get that affiliate money and the Google ranking, whatever. So that feels like how, I don't know if you guys agree, that sort of feels like how the health coaching model started and that sort of like blogging thing. And so I don't know if that's just where it comes from or if it's just that, you know, when you do graduate from a health coaching training, like you do know so much, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, if people just knew what fiber can do for them, or people just knew that this chemical, right? I better write a blog post about it. But yeah, it's not, it's great. It's helpful if I read a blog post about a chemical, but it's not the thing I'm going to be like, here's $1,000. Like I need help with this.
Right. Right. Well, but this is where I think everybody starts when we think in terms of newer coaches and why this might be exactly why newer coaches in particular are not getting traction on social media is because we feel compelled to prove ourselves somehow.
Yeah.
That we have to prove how knowledgeable we are because we feel a bit of this imposter syndrome. Hey, I'm new. Here's the other thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a insert whatever they think is some sort of elevated educational path. Thus, what I have to offer isn't as valuable. And I would argue it's more valuable. We have had dietitians, doctors. We've had all of these clinical practitioners for hundreds of years, and we're getting fatter and sicker. Yeah. We've only had health coaches really for like the last 10. So we can make a difference. So have some, but you're absolutely right, Erin. I know exactly kind of some of the people that you're talking about and how much we see about these chemicals. And that's really great information. But what problem is knowing that solving,
Yeah.
And how do you build a business out of that?
I think it's scary for new health coaches to niche in. It's scary for new life coaches, but the health coaching world is a whole other one because, they're like, well, now I'm like claiming to be this expert in this thing. And like, I don't actually know enough about that. And like,
right.
It is scary. It's scary to niche in for lots of reasons. But I think that what most coaches don't understand is that the more that you actually work in one area and a niche, obviously you get better at it. You get better at solving that problem. It gets more nuanced and you tend to enjoy your work more because you're really able to go deep versus kind of like staying out here where you're like, I'm going to help people drink more water. Like that usually isn't as rewarding as coaches think it's going to be, right? Because people don't want to drink more water. And so when you really do get in and start to specialize in that niche, you're able to not only create content that is going to bring more people in like through your marketing, but actually the work that you do tends to feel, it just starts to feel better. I feel like people have more fulfillment when they're able to really go deeper with the clients that they're working with. And that's one way to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People kind of have to come around. So when coaches find you and want to start working with you, what problem are you solving? Who are these people and where are they at? And are they just starting out?
They're I would say primarily life coaches and health coaches, but we've worked with everything from like graphic designers to horse trainers to sleep consultants, like anyone who has a service-based business that they want to be able to, bring online and offer. And their problem is they don't know how to get clients. Usually they've like been through a couple business building programs, some of the big name ones out there, and they're stuck because they've been trying to like set up sales funnels or learn about what to post on TikTok. So they're sort of learning like the strategies, but they don't have the foundations. They don't have a niche. They don't know how to articulate what they do clearly. They can't even get it sorted in their head. So, their marketing obviously reflects that. So I usually bring them back to the basics. I'm like, stop doing all the things you're doing. All the marketing you're doing is going to stop and we're going to come and get all this stuff sorted out. And then, we give them some marketing strategies, but it's like we were saying, it's like old school strategies. It's not social media. It's not sales funnels. It's not a lot of that. It's just about like bringing their message in front of the right people.
Yeah. Okay. So you start by helping them clarify.
Yeah, it's a lot of clarity work that tends to get skipped over, right? Because it's like, I have a business. Okay, I need a website. I need a business card. I need to be marketing. I need a social media. We kind of forget that like the clarity is the thing that's going to make all of that work.
I would like to we just want to put a little exclamation point on that. I mean, we are educators of health coaches, and we teach business basics in our course. So we don't pretend to necessarily specialize in that. But we teach the basics, and to your point, the basics work. And we continuously encourage our students, like, get really clear on who you are and what problem you solve for whom. We've said this for forever, and it's always skipped over. It's almost always skipped over when they say, where can I find clients? We say, well, who are you? What problem do you
what
solve
clients?
for who?
Who are you looking for?
Who is this person? Exactly. What clients? Who is this person? And I just, this idea of like clients, it's very, very nebulous. And it's just like, it's just people that I'm going to help with health. And it's like, no. Right. You have to get super, super clear. So I thank you for putting the spotlight on clarity. It's still the place to start. It always will be.
Yeah. And the thing that I want to say about clarity is that it's not, I've seen way too many people, I bet you guys see this too, that are like waiting to get clear. So they're like journaling and they're doing exercises on it and they're meditating and like they can't move forward. They've been stuck for like a year. I said sometimes 2 years because they just don't have the clarity yet. So the clarity is a decision that you need to make. This is not like a thing that you're just going to like wait to come to you. And one day you're just going to be like, oh my gosh, that's it. Usually those like aha moments that we have are actually not the thing that we end up doing. And so I really, really push my students to make a decision about their niche, not to like wait to get clear on their niche, because you could wait for way too long. And so make a decision, know that it might not feel 100%. Maybe it'll feel like 70% good. I'm like, that's great. 70% is good. Right. And then you can move forward and you can start to practice. Okay, well, how do I market to this niche and use this language? You can sort of start to learn your business building tools in like, I sometimes just call it a niche for now. It's like, just choose a niche for now where you can create one program and get 5 clients in and like get that machine rolling so you can learn how to sell and learn how to market and learn how to do it. And then you can like choose another niche if you want to, but the niche for now. And I think this idea that it's just going to like become clear. It's like, you have to just decide that this is the thing you're going to do.
So can we have clarity here? Because this is when we talk about niching, here's one that comes up all the time. Busy moms.
Okay.
Like that's my niche. Busy moms. I know. Exactly. And so I'm like, okay, there's lots of those. And you are likely a busy mom, which is why you chose that niche. But why busy moms? What is it that they're seeking? And another one that comes up is one, people seeking to invest in their wellness. Like nobody invests in their wellness. They don't.
No one's seeking to do that. People succumb to the fact that they have to do it.
Yes, people are not willing to invest in wellness. They're not. I know, even though I am now, I didn't start there. I started with the fact that I couldn't hold a conversation because I couldn't stop copying for more than 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what's the reason that's going to make somebody willing to invest in their wellness? That's what we want to know about.
Yeah. Right. So do you have some recommendations or perhaps some exercises or some questions that you take your clients through to help get much more granular on what it is they need to be speaking to in that niche?
Yeah. I mean, it starts with just being like, okay, well, so there's the busy moms, like what is the problem that they're actually having? And so, usually people can generally answer that. And then I have them go out and I have them do market research. I'm like, go talk to 10 busy moms who are kind of in this, even if you're not exactly sure, you narrow it down as much as you can. And then you go and talk to people. And there's lots of different ways you can do this, but, just going and having conversations with people, asking them a couple of questions. Facebook groups are great for this still. Post a discussion question and get some responses and really figure out like, what is the language that they're using? What are the things that they're saying? They're like tearing their hair out about. What are the things they're investing in? Where are they looking for help for this thing? And just hear it from them, because we have too many assumptions because we come from the world of health coaching or life coaching or whatever. And so we're like, this is what people need and are struggling with, but it's often not, or at least the way that we're talking about it isn't lining up with the way that the real people who are out there in the world just struggling to do the thing are talking about it. So actually getting in front of them and talking to them is like the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, that's a really clutch exercise. It is. It is, because you get their exact language. I did this exercise. This is not quite the same, but sort of. I actually hired a virtual assistant to go through all of my client intake forms from the last 8 years. And every single person who fills an intake form has to tell me why they're here.
Why are you paying me?
Yeah. Exactly. So I have all that information in their own words.
Yeah.
And what I have to do is filter. I have to put it through some kind of a filtering tool that like AIs it.
ChatGPT will do that for you.
thing.
I've done it with market research surveys. I've been like, plug it all in. What are the top 5 pain points? And it just tells you. I mean, it's like you want to give it a once over, but yeah, anyone who comes to me who's already had paying clients, I'm like, amazing. When they first emailed you, the very first email, the very first intake form, the very first session, if you have it recorded, like what were they saying? Not what they're saying when they're done after 3 months of working with you, because now they've like drank your Kool-Aid and they've changed their mindset. Like all this stuff has changed, right? But when they first like knocked on that door and were like, I need help, here's the money. Like, what did they say they wanted? Because that's going to tell you, that's going to give you your answers versus like the things that they're saying when they're done with you.
Yes. But so for the person starting out, though, you don't have that resource. You don't have an intake form. So you're going to have to just stretch yourself to just get out there and collect what? Well, how many? Half a dozen sound bites would be enough.
Like quality over quantity for sure. Yeah, you could talk to 3 or 4 people who give you gold, and you could talk to, you could fill out a market research survey and have like 100 people who you didn't quite get enough info from. So it really is, you can tell when you get the answers whether stuff is like, okay, this is giving me the gold, or like, it still feels a little bit generic. Even your practice coaching clients though, like, when they're coming in, sure, they're often doing it for free. And sometimes they just want to be nice and help you, but like, they're still hopefully coming in with something they actually want help with, because they're going to be giving you the time to actually coach them. So that can be helpful too, even if they're not paying clients.
Mm-hmm. And how much stock do you put on, because if we go back to the very, very, very like origin of folks coming into health coaching, you've gone through your own health transformation too. Laura evoked this busy mom. You probably targeted busy moms because you are a busy mom. Can you remember what your lived experience was like when you were feeling unwell or overburdened, and putting your own, like mining your own experience, really?
Yeah. Like, what would you have paid for? Would you have, if you saw your program, would you have bought it?
Exactly.
That's a really great question. And if not, like, why not? Obviously different, because knowing what you know now, like you don't need the program. But yeah, if you could put yourself back into the shoes that you were in, because you're right, most people kind of niche into what they were going through.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of an anecdote. So we had one student who was working on his business, and I said, well, what's your specialty going to be? And he said, heart attack prevention. And I was like, I don't think people are really that interested in prevention. But I said, tell me more about that. Well, he'd had a heart attack and survived it, obviously. And there's a whole big story around how he, recovering from his heart attack and not wanting to have a second heart attack. I'm like, there's a niche. Men who don't want to have a second heart attack. Yeah, I'd be Googling the hell out of that if I survived a heart attack.
Yeah. And prevention, but it's like within already a problem. Yeah.
Right.
Because prevention on its own, we know it's a nice idea, but like no one wants to pay for prevention. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Well, and I think a survey is a really valuable exercise too. I've been working with an organization who's running a program, and I put out an initial survey asking what people felt their top obstacles were of being able to achieve their goals. It wasn't knowledge. Mm-hmm. It wasn't money. You know what it was? Time and stress.
Yeah.
Time and stress. Those were the two things. Like, they feel as though they do not have enough time in their own mind to do they think this is like difficult to do and somehow requires a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so it's going to market with something that allows, busy people to be able to achieve their goals without, whatever the case may be. And here's the thing with coaches, you can't do it for them. You need to help them. So it's giving them what it is they think they need, right? The ability to, there's a term Aaron often uses, is making this feel effortless, that it can just sort of fit into your everyday lifestyle, right? So your biggest obstacle is time and stress, but that's not what's sexy and sells, right? Everybody wants like the weight loss program and the like, what's it, 75 hard, and these really, like, are you kidding? Like, that doesn't take time and that doesn't add stress. Like, it's so incongruent that kind of adjusting the language, knowing that that's really what's in the back of their mind, and catering to, so they want to lose weight. let's say, just use that as maybe an example. And they're viewing their challenges as this, time, and I've got too much stress. So that's going to go into building a program that actually solves that problem. But your language still needs to speak to what it is they think they're looking for.
Yeah.
And how reprioritizing that time. This is a big message that I've often, you have plenty of time. You're just spending it on something else.
Yeah. Yeah, we all know that.
Right.
Well, yeah. And I think it's important for coaches also to pay attention to that. So if they think their problem is time and stress, does your coaching program need to include 15 handouts with information about chemicals and fiber? Does it need to include long videos that you're going to make them watch? Like coaches, I think, often try to pack their programs with all this stuff to make it more valuable. And like the busy mom who has no time and is stressed is going to look at that and be like, I don't have time to do that. And so less is often more, because you can tell them, my goal is to give you more time, not have this take more time. And so like what we're going to be working on is exactly what you need and nothing else. And I'm not going to be handing you 8 hours of homework to do and a book you need to read in between, right. And so the extra value that we think we're giving them is actually scaring people away a lot of the time in a lot of niches, not just the busy mom's niche.
Hey, it's Erin, co-host of Health Coach Radio. I've trained men and women of all different body types and skill levels, and take it from me, women are made for strength. They may just have a different way of getting there than men do. With the Primal Health Coach Institute's Strength Training for Women Specialist certification, you'll be able to address the needs, challenges, questions, and goals most relevant to women. You'll learn how to design a training program, and then you'll develop one. You'll also learn how to co-create individual eating strategies for clients and how to navigate potentially sensitive topics like menopause, reproductive cycles, hormone-related dysfunction, and diet culture. If you want to empower women to become fitter and stronger, then visit primalhealthcoach.com and learn more about our specialization in strength training for women.
Oh my gosh, exactly my point. Because we've all done it. All of us have started out. I can't speak for everybody. I can speak for myself. These super long videos, PowerPoint presentation that I've narrated, and wonder why someone didn't watch my 30-minute video on top of everything else they had to do that week. You're so right. It needs to be digestible and bite-sized. And if your audience is busy moms, they ain't got the time for a 30-minute video.
Like think outside the box with your programs. I love Voxer as an app for creating programs and being able to chat with people on the go, not having to okay, we're going to have an hour meeting. Busy mom doesn't have an hour to sit down and talk to me on Zoom, but just starting to think about different ways that you can get them the results that fit with, even if they do have time and they're not spending it right. They the way that it's packaged has to appeal to them. And if it looks like it's a lot of work, they're never going to consider it.
Mm-hmm. That's actually one of the improvements I've made to my program over the years is shrinking it, frankly.
Yeah.
But the idea, this idea of programming, I love talking about programming with coaches because I think it's honestly the logical, it's somehow woven into when we think about putting ourselves out there to get clients, it's okay, well, who are you? What problem do you solve? And how do you solve it? So, if a client loves what you're posting and clicks the book now button, suddenly you've got a client consultation on the calendar for tomorrow. What are you selling them into?
Yeah.
What is the thing you're selling?
Yeah.
Do you work with your clients in terms of helping them get their program dialed as well?
Yeah. So I talk about it in terms of packages. And to me, because I think that people can think that means oh, my package, I've got to have videos and handouts and all the things, right? But to me, it's just what you're selling them has a defined start and end time. So it's it's 3 months, it's 6 months, it's 6 weeks, it's one session. It doesn't really matter, but it's got a definitive amount of time. It's not just this kind of loosey goosey, just come work with me and we'll just see how long it takes. That does not instill confidence, right? So you need to be the boss and be here's how long it's going to take, which again, the more people you work with in your niche, that answer. When you're starting, you might be I don't know, this long. Right? And you just guess, and then you work with people and then you shift your package. But the more you work with people, the more you can actually say, it takes most of my clients about 9 weeks, 12 weeks to get to this point. And there's a price on the whole thing, not just per session. Because we want someone to buy in emotionally, mentally, financially to the whole thing, not just like, well, I'll just try one and see how it goes. And that it's giving them defined results. So it's like, it's solving a problem and it's getting them a result at the end. And like, that is the focus of that package. And so if you have different packages, in my opinion, they should be solving different problems. Yeah, they should be solving different problems, because I'm sure you guys have seen this too. We go to someone's website and they're like 3-month package, 6 months package, 4 weeks, 1 month, and it's different prices and it's all sort of saying it's going to do the same thing. And so I'm like, why would I pay for this one when I could just do this one when it says I'm going to get the same outcome, right?
Yeah.
It's confusing.
It is confusing. I think this is really useful. You brought forward this idea of, like, I always think about this. I'm a consumer. We're all consumers. I want to get a thing for my investment. I want a tangible product. So this ethereal, like, per session, per hour, floating kind of scale with no real parameters.
Yeah.
I'm not probably going to swipe my credit card on that. I honestly, I'm just not. I want to know that there's a structure. So the thing with coaches is you don't have to have the whole structure figured out. For sure, know where to start, and to your point, know what the end of the program we get a parameter in terms of duration. And I think 12 weeks is a good place to start, but it might stretch or shrink as you go. And literally every other benchmark along that continuum is really driven by the client. So if you know how to enroll them in something, then you're having coaching conversations with them and the client is kind of guiding you. The client builds the program with you, really.
Yeah. And you'll have an idea, because you'll have, beta tested and worked with some people and practice. And so you'll have an idea of like, okay, to get my client from A to B, like, here's the things that generally we're probably going to touch on. It doesn't mean that you need to create some kind of like super prescriptive step-by-step and session 1, we're going to do this. You might, depends on your niche. That might be the way that makes the most sense, but most likely it's this sort of like popcorn. I think of it as like it's popcorn style. Like, there's all these things that I know I'm probably going to work on with them. And like, as the coach, that. So that you're going in with like a plan and a bit of an idea, but like, it might just not be linear, like one after the other. And it doesn't have to be. The client doesn't care. The client, when you sign up for something, you're not like, well, can I see the weekly curriculum? Like, a coach or a therapist, it's like, that's not how it works. And that. So your clients aren't expecting that you have this like really rigid structured thing. Probably they don't want that, because then it feels like it's too pre-programmed versus actually going to support them in like their individual needs.
Well, it feels like it doesn't have any flexibility. And so like this is just a specific sort of case study that might be useful to help coaches like visualize this. But if you're building an online curriculum, for example, using one of any millions of online learning management systems that exist now, which I recommend personally, like having a digital curriculum, whether that's just a series of docs on a Google Drive or you have some kind of a tool in Kajabi or whatever, it doesn't need to have a drip schedule. We don't need to deliver the curriculum week to week. And just have the curriculum and have it all delivered up front. Mm-hmm. First of all, that's way easier to build. You don't have to predict what step 1 is, what step 2 is, what step 3 is. I think the client likes it better. I think in certain niches, to your point, there is a chronology. Like, I always think about folks in the like autoimmune, for example,
that's what I was
niche.
thinking too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to do the elimination, you got to do the reintroduction. It has a real specific step-by-step approach. But anybody in any other niche, I really don't think you need to stress yourself out about what's step 1, what's step 2, what's step 3. Create the entire curriculum with no chronology. Takes the pressure off you, takes the pressure off of them.
Yeah. And you can also create that stuff as you go. I think one thing I see people do is think before they've worked with anyone, they try to predict exactly what exercises someone's going to need and what resources. And it's like, I'm a huge fan of beta testing and just getting some people in the door for free so you can like mess around with it and practice things and try different things out. And so develop that content as you go and as you see with your real clients that you need it. Like, hey, this exercise was really useful. This one didn't work so well. This resource, like they loved it. I'm going to put that in, right? So you're kind of building it as you go with clients versus ahead of time feeling like you have to have it perfected, it's totally a mindset thing, right? It's like we get into a consult and we're like, I want to know exactly what I'm going to tell them and exactly what it's going to look like. And I think the idea of beta testing just gets all that out the window. It's like, it's the assumption that you're learning and you're practicing some new things. And the exchange is that they're going to give you feedback and you have full permission to be messy and kind of screw things up and switch things around midway through if you have to. And that's how you'll eventually get that curriculum that you know is going to work.
Yeah, that makes complete sense in terms of if you've got a general list of however many topics that you think people going through this journey are likely going to ask you questions about or experience or what have you. You can have them pre-addressed in a broad curriculum that's just all there. And they can go through it as needed, or it's, hey, you had your coaching session and you know what? This is exactly what we talk about in module 4. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at this yet, but let's drill down on it a little bit. And, you can kind of cover the broad strokes in your coaching session. And, some of the onus is on them is to go back and kind of go through it. But again, make it brief.
Yeah.
And to the
keep
point,
it easy for them.
Right. And then, hey, let me know your thoughts. And it allows the client then to sort of pick their own adventure, so to speak, based on where they are in the process. So, I mean,
yeah, love that.
It's the more you do this and the more people you work with, the more you're going to be able to predict this stuff. But you got to get those clients in front of you first. And so we talked about maybe your practice clients and some people that you kind of coach for free. But in terms of, again, kind of coming back to this, maybe brand new coaches shouldn't be putting all their eggs in the social media basket.
Mm-hmm.
What do you recommend in terms of putting themselves out there in a way that, I mean, you can be posting stuff on social media. I think it's important to have an online presence.
Yeah. Yes.
But what do you think is a good place for people to start outside of there?
Yeah, I think once they're niched in, because the thing is, once you have that specific niche, it doesn't take much to get the ball rolling, because now everything you're putting out, people actually get it, right? Ideally, they understand what you do. They can think of someone to refer to you. So once you're niched in and you have that specific expertise and specialization, then number one, I'm a big fan of sending out the friends and family email and just telling everybody in your current network what you are doing, because we think people know and are following us, but no one was really paying attention. And so I still get people who are like, how's your life coaching business? And I'm like, coach for 12 years. Right. And so I'm like, oh, I should probably send out that email again, but just letting everyone in your current network know, like, hey, here's what I'm doing now. And it's going to be the thing that makes this work is that what you're doing ideally is so niched in that it sticks in people's minds. They might not be sending you clients immediately, but like I've had people come back 6 months down the road and or even a year down the road. And like, I sent out the friends and family email a year ago. And like somebody today, a year later, wrote to me and was like, oh my gosh, I have someone to send to you, because you kind of stuck in their mind, right? Of the thing that you do. So that I think that's important for building up a referral-based business, which is honestly a huge source I mean, ideally, I think it's so much easier than getting clients off social media, but if you can build up that referral network, it's great. Same with really niched in evergreen content. Like I was talking about my co-coach, Erin, that video that she made on YouTube, like the idea of being able to create really niched in content that's going to sit there on a search engine and keep building up. And she didn't do any SEO work. We're not talking about like digging into the nitty gritty of SEO and all of that. But just creating content that actually speaks directly to something that people are Googling that will be able to start to build up traction for you. And then getting in front of other people's audiences, getting in front of places where your people already exist and coming in with like a new point of view or something unique to say about whatever the topic is. It's just such a great way, because you're being vetted by the people who are hosting you. So I'm on this podcast, right? Like This is a perfect example of that. We don't have the exact audience. We don't even do similar. We don't do the same thing at all, but we share. I have a lot of health coaches in my audience. I'm going to share this with them. They're going to now learn about your school if they didn't know about it, and vice versa. And so this type of thing where you can just get really targeted with who you're getting yourself and your message in front of is just going to pay off so much more. And this will live out there on the internet. You'll probably share it. We'll share it. And it's creating this reciprocal thing that works for both people.
Yeah, I love that. And I just want to kind of put a pin real quick. You said, going in and being able to speak to an audience of your people that's maybe somebody else, put your own unique spin on it or say it a different way. And one thing that comes up is, again, this is just people finding a reason to not do the thing that makes them uncomfortable. It's already been said already. 1 million people have already said it better than I ever could. And we're like, that because that's your universe. Yeah. Your end client probably hasn't heard it. Yeah. So get over yourself and just do it. Do it in your own words and go out and have fun and be passionate about it.
It's the same with like, oh, that market's saturated. I'm like, it's because you're in that market and it's literally all that you're seeing. But like the average, how many people in your regular life know that this exists, right? Or in your town? Probably none. So yeah, Yeah, I love that. And yeah, everything's already been said. So go say it again, in a different way. And it's not that you have to, my clients always get stressed out because they're like, how can I be different? Like I have to create some kind of like unique, weird spin on things, or like throw in this other curveball to make it different. And I'm like, that's just making it like not you. All you need to do I'm a big fan of point of view marketing and getting really clear on what your point of view is about why people are struggling with the thing, and being able to share like what they should do instead, and like standing in that opinion. And if you can do that, it doesn't matter if something else has been said, because you're saying it in this way that your clients are actually going to hear and be like, oh my God, this is something I haven't heard before, or I haven't heard it said this way.
Yeah.
Or just like, this makes sense. Sometimes it's
Right.
just like you say it in a way that actually clients can wrap their head around.
And this is going to sound so kooky when I say this, and I just want to put out there that I'm not a kook. So but on some level, the audience is going to vibe with you. So I had a client that signed up with me, and she said I was deciding between you and this other person who I'd never heard of before. And so I tracked down this other person, and she has a huge following, and she says almost exactly the same stuff that I say in almost exactly the same way. And when I asked this client why she chose me, it was because the other person was more annoying. I just said
that was more annoying.
More annoying.
So you're both annoying, but one's more annoying.
Yeah. She's a little more annoying. Her the way she kind of speaks on camera, it just was grating on my nerves. Things like that. So like if you're not putting yourself out there in a really authentic way, like people need to be able to vibe with you and just like you on some level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it too.
Yeah. I sort of love COVID for this, because I feel like everyone has gotten just a little bit more used to kind of showing up on camera and not really giving like not really like overproducing things. I actually intentionally in my everything I do in my business, including like the videos and my course, like everything, it's not overproduced. It's not like in a studio with the whole thing and the hair and makeup. Like it's just this, like this is this. Because I want my students to see that like it doesn't have to be overproduced. There's tons of examples of like coaches who just, have lots and lots of budget to make fancy videos. And I just want people to know that you don't have to do that to be successful. You can just show up, talk on camera with, my lighting's not terrible now because now I moved into a house that has a window in front of my desk. It used to be awful. And it's fine. It's fine. It's more about your message than it is about like having everything look polished and perfect.
Right.
It is so interesting to consider this evolution, right? So to your point, the general population is way more literate to people flapping their gums at you from behind a camera.
Yeah.
Like people are, the general population is better at picking up that messaging and accepting it. But also this idea of, you were talking earlier about like, for example, combining forces with other creators so you can tap their audience. It's sort of like we've gone back in time to referral-based businesses, because the boom time for organic growth in social media is over. Like
yes,
that was 10 years ago. And if you didn't get on it then, don't rely on it now. Let's go back to sort of brass tacks, which is what kind of how we started this conversation, is clarity on your message, and then just good old fashioned being yourself and sharing your message with people who want to hear it with like audiences. It takes a ton of the pressure off, because the social media growth, the organic game is hard. It's even harder is the paid gig.
Yeah,
do you have any thoughts on paid ads?
I mean, we are currently still running paid ads. So that's like Facebook and Instagram ads, but they are not working well. We have a great ads agency. They run ads for some huge online businesses out there. We're sort of moving away. I have a full-time team member now doing organic marketing. We're definitely moving back to, we sort of got lazy with some of the organic stuff because there was the heyday sort of there a couple of years ago with ads, and it's just not the same. So especially for new business owners, no, unless you have proven and validated your whole sales system beginning to end with organic, don't put money, unless you just have a ton of money to spend, then like it's faster to do it with ads, throw it in, see what happens. But most people, that's not the case, right? I don't think anyone new needs to be putting money into organic marketing.
Well, and I wonder,
or for paid marketing, sorry.
Yeah, in terms of like paid ads and stuff, if product-based businesses tend to do a little bit better, especially when they don't cost thousands of dollars.
I mean, the number of things I buy based on an Instagram ad would tell me yes.
Right, exactly. I
who knows? I'm constantly
amount
cool
of
shirt.
money.
Okay, one click buy, no problem. But services, it's just different.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I spent a crap ton of money on new beach towels because you know why? There was an ad for Sand Cloud where the person getting off the beach was like, shake, shake, look, no sand. It doesn't take 2 hours for my towels to actually dry in the dryer. I can hang them and they're dry in 15 minutes. I'm like, sold, because I live in Florida. We're at the beach all the time, and there's nothing more annoying than having a pile of soggy, mildewy, sand-filled towels that are going to take 3 hours to dry.
There you go. But what a clear problem they're solving, right?
Yes.
What a clear niche problem. They're not just like, hey, do you want some general, things for your house that will? It's like it's very specific.
Exactly.
Specific.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whenever I get targeted by an ad that is so perfect for me, I almost slow clap. I'm like, they got me. Whatever they did, it was absolutely for me. And then, but like, I honestly think, this is my opinion. I'd love to have yours because you're the expert here, actually, Rebecca, is when people are stressing and struggling about how to put themselves out there, I always say, why don't you just step back into yourself as a consumer? What resonates with you? What messaging do you love? What do you click on? What do you hate? Like, I hate email marketing. I hate receiving it. This is just my personal opinion. Okay. I don't like receiving email marketing. A certain cadence I'm cool with, but like some of the stuff, it's like, you lost me.
Yeah.
I'm unsubscribing immediately. This is too much. So I don't do that. I do email marketing, but I use a cadence that I'm comfortable with. And maybe some business coaches would say, well, you should be emailing them every other day. And it's like, no, because I would hate that. So I'm going to go once a week and I'm going to feel good about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, that's great. Like, what do you actually click on? What do you buy from? Look at the last, like, 3, and but obviously, like we just talked about, products are different. So I think it's helpful to look at like the service providers that you've paid in whatever niche. Like, how have you found them? What did you click on? What made you buy from them? Like, did you book a consult right away? Did it take you 3 months before you, like, what was your process of buying into that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just trying different things too, because I think that as a new business owner, we have to find what works for us for marketing. And so the faster you can just put stuff out there and fail, the faster you're going to get comfortable with that. And you're going to find the avenue that actually works for you, because the truth is all of them work. TikTok's great. Social media is great. LinkedIn's great. Email marketing's great. Facebook ads are great. Funnels are great. Like, they're all fine. It's just figuring out which one works for your business and your niche and how you actually want to be spending your time. I just did a whole Facebook Live this week about why I feel very strongly that new business owners should not be creating courses and should not be jumping into like, I'm going to create a course on this. And the, oh my God, I totally forgot what I was going to say about that. What was the point of telling you that? I think it was that what I was saying was that when you get into a course business, you become a full-time marketer. Yeah. You need to have the whole marketing system down, and you're constantly tweaking those funnels, and like, your job is now marketing. It's no longer coaching. Mm-hmm. So if you got into coaching to coach, creating a course-based business where it's like a self-study course, an online course, your job is now different. And is that what you want to be? I'm in marketing, so I'm like, I love selling courses. But most people who come into health coaching or life coaching are not coming because they want to be marketers. They're coming because they want to do the coaching work. So I think it's just having that awareness of like, how do you want to actually be spending your time? Because your offers and then the marketing channels that lead to those are going to dictate that.
I think that's really clever, because that goes back to moving from a service-based business to now a product-based business. Mm-hmm. And now you're in the business of products. And I think people think passive income. Mm-hmm. You're really going to have to work your tail off to sell those.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Sometimes I make sales when I sleep, but I have a full-time team that I pay year round, and I work all the time to make those sales when I sleep. So it's like I mean, is the passive income thing people still believe it? I'm just like, cannot share enough about what BS that is.
Well, say more about that, because it is this idea of, because entrepreneurship, in my opinion, as somebody who's been in business for myself for 10 years, is a lot of work. There's nothing passive about it. You have to be completely engaged and involved in it at every turn.
Passive income is like stock investments and real estate. it's not entrepreneurship. No course that you create. So I shared these numbers. Maybe it'll be okay to share with you too. So yesterday or whatever, this week when I did that Facebook Live training, I actually shared real numbers from the courses that we sell. So we sell our main like kind of hybrid coaching course program, but then we sell 2 other kind of digital courses. One is called Your First Retreat. It's for coaches to learn how to run their first retreat. And one is called Your First Group Program. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's for coaches who are ready to make that move from one-on-one and create a group program. These are like self-study courses, $297 to $497. We have them on our website under our courses. We have a bunch of like blog content and Pinterest content that's sort of floating out there on them. We have them set up in funnels. So when they download and opt in, they get put into that like sales funnel to then lead them to buy the course. And I had people on the webinar that I did guess how many of those courses we sell every month. And the guesses were like, everywhere from like 50 to like 400. And so then I shocked everybody when I shared that the actual numbers are that between January and June this year, we sold 7 total, not per month, 7 courses. We ran $20,000 of Facebook ads and we made $9,000 in sales from those ads.
There you go.
So that's not good. And organically, I think organically we sold 7 organically and we sold 29 with Facebook ads, but the money still didn't even out. And so like I'm in marketing. We have a Facebook ads agency that does ads for the life coach school. Like we know what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Our courses are good. The people, when they, we do launches for them also, which we then get lots of people in and they have great feedback. So I think it just goes, we have a huge audience, right? We have like 15, 20,000 people on our email list, 40,000 people over on Facebook, like, right? Yeah. So I think that says something about what it takes to sell courses. Now we sell these courses through mini launches. We'll do flash sales. Like we have other ways that we can still use these assets to bring in income, but having it sit there thinking this is a no-brainer. Anyone who wants to run a retreat, $297, they're obviously going to buy this course, not unless you're actively marketing it. And I'd rather actively market my main coaching program, which is like the thing that I coach in, right? And so you can't be actively marketing 2 things at the same time. So then,
when I think through like services that I spent meaningful money on, it's all referral. I asked someone I trusted if they knew someone that they trusted. My realtor, when I moved from Illinois to Florida, I had a problem with a leaky backflow. I didn't even know what that was. It has something to do with my irrigation. I'm like, I need someone that I know is not going to rip me off and someone who's going to do every single time I hire a service-based professional, I always ask first for referral. And so something Erin has said repeatedly, we say it in our podcast a lot, one of the best ways to grow your business is to be really good at what you do.
Yeah.
And invest in being really good at that and not being afraid to say, if there's anybody else that could be helping, let me know.
Yeah. To be asking for referrals, to be telling people what you do. And that's so much different than like cold calling or cold DMing. Like we're not talking about that. Right.
100%.
Well, I think what we hear a lot from people is what we just unpacked, which is this passive income. It's like, don't even put any eggs in that basket because it's just not even really a thing.
Yeah.
And the second sort of thing we come up against a lot is immediately scaling. And it's like, you have to have a clear thing to scale. Yeah. Scale what?
Yeah. I just had someone come who was interested in joining my program and she's like, I just joined another program. I need to think about this. And I was like, well, what is it? And I went and looked at it and it was all about like scaling to 7 figures. And I'm like, oh, what's your revenue level? And she's like, it's 0. And I was like, so you can't scale 0. Like, and she knew that. She's like, I know, I think I made a mistake. And it's just, and you can make really good money. You can get to 100K with very minimal marketing and one-on-one coaching and have a very simple business where you don't have a team, you don't have all the complicated tech that you've got to pay for. You just got yourself a website, a booking system, and a couple pieces of marketing that are like bringing the right people in. It can be so simple.
50 to 100 people. You don't need 100,000, 1 million followers. 50 to 100 people.
Which you do when you sell courses, right? Then the volume becomes so much more important.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The course can be your downsell, right? If someone right now just cannot afford your higher priced coaching program, it's something else to offer in terms of being able to help where they have access to at least a piece of what you offer. There's some value there, but
Totally. Yeah.
I'm getting set to decommission my DIY course. It's like I've got the bespoke coaching relationship, the high ticket, high touch. I've got the the entry level little group program, and then the thing in the middle is the DIY course, and no one's buying it. And frankly, I don't even like its existence. I really don't want people going through my program by themselves, to be honest with you. I think it depends on kind of what your business model is, but I do one thing, and you can either work with me personally or work with me in this large group. Like, I don't have a lot of different, I do have one product, and it's just delivered in these 3 different ways. And the middle ground, this middle price point, do-it-yourself course, I don't even love its existence because I don't think people need.
And that's so important to realize. And it's great. You created it, you tried it, see how it goes. But like, I think that it's important to actually think about, especially in the health coaching and in the life coaching niches, like, can people get the same results with the DIY course? Like, is it the information that they need?
Right.
Some niches maybe not, but I think it's something that you really need to think about and test, like actually test, give it to 10 people who have that problem. Do they get the results with it? Is it, is there things you need to tweak, or is it just that the nature of what you're doing really needs like more of your expertise and your feedback and your accountability and your coaching along with it?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say more often than not in the coaching space, well, I do say this, we do say this literally, is information is what people need anyway.
Yeah.
So, and the information's out there. It's not like I invented these nutrition philosophies. I borrowed them from somebody who I'm standing on the shoulder of giants, basically. Here's my approach to this stuff. And it's been written in blogs and books for
I've
dozens
paid
of years.
Tens of thousands of dollars over the years for accountability to do with health things. Right? It's why people pay a personal trainer instead of just going to the gym on their own. It's why people go to a yoga class. I've paid health coaches and functional medicine practitioners, even though I know exactly the things they're going to tell me, right? Because I was like, I just need to get my gear and somebody to like really make sure I'm doing this.
Yep. Absolutely. Wow. We could keep talking forever. We love this stuff, but this was really, really, I think, informative. And I think it solidifies a lot of what Erin and I have been preaching for a long time here in our both our course and program, and on the podcast. And look, for those of you that are saying, I'm not a lover of social media, it's fine when I want to just catch up with my friends and what their kids are doing, but it doesn't feel authentic to me. And if I have to be on if I don't want to do that, how am I going to be a health coach? There's tons of ways to do it.
Old school, go old school.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I mean, you can use social media as just your own social proof. Hey, look, I live this way too. Oh, hey, here's a great recipe, right? These are just you being authentic, and it draws people to you, but you don't have to build your business that way. So it was really refreshing to hear that they don't have to. And thank you for that.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a lie. You have to do some marketing in your business. We got no way around that, but find the way that works for you.
So where can people find you if they want to find out more about you and what you do?
My website's The Uncaged Life. We do have social media. My team member manages mostly that, but I pop into the DMs a lot over at The Uncaged Life on Instagram. And if they wanted to snoop on my personal life, because my personal Instagram is just for that, it's Rebecca Tracey. It's mostly dogs and me hiking mountains. Sometimes people want to see, behind the scenes of what people are doing outside of business. So I try to keep up to date there too.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Rebecca. This is great.
Thanks so much.
This podcast was brought to you by Primal Health Coach Institute. To learn more about how to become a successful health coach, get in touch with us by visiting primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or if you're already a successful health coach, practitioner, influencer, or thought leader with a thriving business and an interesting story, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us at hello@primalhealthcoach.com and let us know why we need to interview you for Health Coach Radio. Thanks for listening.